All right, guys, I'll let you introduce yourself. I think some of you, they might not know who you are, so tell a little bit about your restaurant and what you guys do, and then teach us all about grilling.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
My name's Lori, and this is Tom, and we own the Kentucky Millstone in Butler, Kentucky. Some of you met me through our class back in April on the hot cross buns. So this is Tom's first Zoom class, so it's exciting for both of us to be here. We're going to call tonight's episode Cooking in the Kitchen with, at Home. So instead of being in the Millstone Cafe restaurant kitchen tonight, you actually get to join us in our log cabin, which we built, the two of us, from the bottom up. So you get a little preview of the cabin here. So this is where we go when we're not hanging out at the restaurant. So tonight we'll talk all about grilling. Tom will make a barbecue rub with you. And then we're gonna rub the chicken down. We will also make a barbecue sauce. He's gonna show you how to light the grill and then grill the chicken. And then we're gonna grill those great zucchinis you got from the local farmers as well. So if you have questions as we go along, just write them in the chat box and Kenna will fill us in because we're not looking at the computer right now. So just let us know what questions you have and we'll go ahead and get started. So we're gonna start out with Tom actually showing you how to make the barbecue rub for the chicken.
Right.
Breast.
So we have chicken breasts that we're going to be grilling tonight. And these are whole split chicken breasts with rib meat attached. That's a lot of meat and it's going to take a few minutes on the grill. Probably about 15 to 20 minutes all told. If you have something smaller like chicken legs or chicken wings or pork, steak, it's all going to be timed differently. And your grill temperature is going to be very important to be controlled when you're grilling something. If you have a gas grill, then I don't know a lot about gas grills, but your temperature is going to be regulated by the amount of flame that you're seeing when you're grilling. Charcoal grills, what I'm comfortable with using, and or open fire, like on the campfire or anywhere you feel like building a fire or it's safe to build a fire, you can grill anything. We literally grill everything here at the house, from soups to stuffed peppers, meatloaf, all kinds of meats, briskets, pork chops, you name it, we grill it. We have a lot of fun and we have a lot of experience, failures as well. So your temperatures are important when you're grilling. So what we're going to talk about right now is a barbecue rub that is pretty simple. The dry ingredients that you're going to be using are salt, onion powder, dried thyme, black pepper. I'm using ground bay leaves, and if you have bay leaves, if you have ground bay leaves, that's great. If you don't have to use it. We happen to have a bay tree that we pull leaves off and use that in our recipes. I've got them in the oven right now. They were fresh and I needed to get them dried, so they're in the oven drying out, and we're going to be grinding that up to use in our recipe. Along with that, we're going to have garlic powder and paprika. We're going to be using some garlic powder from Fairy Rose, who sets up at the farmer's market in Pendleton County at the fairground. And I believe we have some garlic powder, and there's another ingredient.
Oh, it's a red pepper.
A red pepper that we're going to be using in this recipe as well. We have a paprika, and if you've got paprika or smoked paprika or whatever type of paprika, sweet paprika is another one. Anything that you are comfortable using, you just go ahead and use it. If you don't like a certain ingredient, don't use it. we're also going to put some dried oregano and some chili powder. I currently don't have any chili powder right now, so I'm going to be substituting another chili powder that I'm currently in love with. And I'll show you later some of the different spices that I like grilling with. And one of the big social media is huge that you're able to find and follow all kinds of different medias. And I follow several different barbecue cooks in Instagram. And one of them has a very exciting new product, and it's called Spanglish. And we have a lot of different Spanglish rubs that we use. This is just one of them. When we make our recipes, we're going to combine all the dry ingredients together. The bay leaves are actually going to have to be ground because they were whole when they went in the oven to dry out. And we're going to grind them. We have a mortar and pestle that we use to grind up larger ingredients to make them smaller. This is just one that we happen to have. We've had for quite a while. This is kind of rough. It's good to make salsas in. The rough surface actually helps grab the ingredients as you're grinding and breaks them down to more or less a powder. So I'm going to grab some bay leaves and go ahead and get those ground. I think before we get started with everything, putting the dry rub together, I think we're going to go out and we're going to learn how to build a fire. We're going to be using a lump charcoal. There's all kinds of different charcoals. I prefer lump charcoal because you get a more, in my opinion, you get a more smoky taste out of the lump charcoal as opposed to a briquette or Kingsford charcoal that you can buy at the grocery store. You can buy the lump charcoal just about all stores now. Walmart has them and Kroger has them. You can buy them at Home Depot. Wherever you find your charcoal, that's where you're probably going to be able to find lump along with your Kingsford or any other kind of briquette. So we're going to go outside and we're going to see how we grill or we start a fire in the grill. So we're going to go outside to introduce you to my old friend. Here's my other old friend, my grilling partner. Come on over. So this is my grill. This is my charcoal grill. This is a King Griller from Acorn. This is a kind of like a kettle grill. It's I burn them up every 4, 5, 6 years. I have to get a new grill because I'm grilling constantly. They hold up for a while. This is a really nice grill. I get a diverse heat with the egg style shape. I have vents at the bottom and another vent at the top on top of the grill. And that's a big concern when you're grilling. Your air intake and your air exhaust is going to be key when you're building a fire. The more air you have coming in, the hotter it's going to be inside. The less air you have exhausting, the more you'll be able to moderate the temperature. I like cooking around 300 to 450, sometimes 500, depends on whether the charcoal is getting out of hand or my air intake is too much. But the air intake is very important when you're building a fire. So this is already had a fire in it. I can shut the air off when I'm done grilling, and my charcoal is saved for the next time I'm grilling. So I use a lot less charcoal when you turn your grill off, shut all the air, shut the exhaust, and the fire will die and your charcoal will be saved. So what I'm going to do is I need to find some paper. I didn't bring my paper, so I'll be right back.
Hey, Joey, I think you're recording. So when he comes back, if he has his cell phone and he can turn the light on on his cell phone and kind of point in there, he's doing.
Yeah, I'll turn the hall light on.
Yeah,
Okay.
that might light it up a little more. It seems a little dark.
Yeah, is that better?
So I have some newspaper, and this is called a charcoal chimney. I bought this at Lowe's, and it has open holes at the bottom to let the air come in. The container holds the charcoal. The bottom is where you're going to put your newspaper or whatever kind of paper you have. And I'm just going to take 2 pieces of paper and wad them up. Not too tight. If you get them too tight, they won't burn properly. Just get them into the bottom. It stays in pretty good. And I'm going to take my old charcoal and just fill up the hopper. There's all kinds of different ways when you're grilling. You can grill with direct heat. You can grill with indirect heat. If you're grilling for a long time, you can, like when you're grilling a pork butt or a brisket, you can situate your charcoal in the bottom of on your grill. You can situate your charcoal like in a circle that is incomplete circle, and then you can put hot coals. This is cold charcoal you're putting down, and in a circle around the outside. So you'll start with hot coals, and you'll put them on one side only, so that they'll continue to burn in a slow process all the way around. You can get sometimes 6 to 8 hours without having to add any more charcoal. So you have a real long time to cook. So I've got my old charcoal in. It's not quite full. So I'll put some of the new lump charcoal on top, just so I have a nice base to cook with. Chunks are really big. Sometimes they're really small. But even if you get a lot of big ones, that's okay. They'll still burn and they'll break up and they'll continue to cook. So charcoal's in the chimney. My air is going to be turned on. The grill top's going to stay open when you light the fire, and make sure you don't light a fire inside or you're gonna die. So I'm gonna start the fire just by lighting the paper. Make sure you have adequate ventilation when you're building fire. We're under a covered porch, and with the moisture in the air today, my paper is not wanting to light. So we'll get it going. And this takes maybe 10 to 15 minutes for that entire chimney to heat up. Your coals are going to start turning red. You want the majority of your coals red before you start grilling. So we're going to go inside while that's out here working. We're going to go inside and we're going to make a rub.
Hey, Tom, if they
Yes, ma'am.
were using a gas grill, when would they turn that on to start preheating it? About 10 minutes before?
Oh, yeah, 5 to 10 minutes for preheating. You're going to want them. I mean, the gas grill is going to heat up really fast.
Right.
5 minutes is probably adequate if you're going to do some chicken thighs or some hot dogs and broths or something like that. You don't need a lot of preheating time. On a gas grill, you're nearly immediate going to be able to start cooking. Five minutes is probably plenty of time. I'm not real familiar with gas grills, so that's a guesstimate on my part. Anybody more familiar with it can be you can pipe in, because I don't really know anything about gas grills. I'm always been cooking with either wood or charcoal.
Right, which makes everything taste a lot better. I agree. But the
I think so too.
the convenience of a gas grill is very handy
Yep.
at times as well.
Yeah. You can start cooking really quick with a gas grill,
Right.
but you're not going to be able to get the flavor you're going to be able to get out of wood. And usually when I'm cooking on grill, I have some wood chips that I'll be adding. Additional smoked flavor. I'm really fond of apple wood. So have some hickory and some mesquite, and tree. Anything you want to use to add flavor on a smoke is probably pretty good, except for pine trees and locusts. You don't want to use any of that because it's got a really bitter flavor. I've learned that the hard way. So we're gonna go inside while that fire is going, heating up, and we're gonna try to make the rub.
And while they're walking inside, I can tell you, Tom was talking about adding some of that smoked flavor. You can do the same on a gas grill. You can put those wood pieces in aluminum foil, or soak them, put them in foil, poke holes in that foil, set it off to the side on your gas grill as well. And it's not an easier way, but it's a tricky way to try to get some of that smoke into that meat as well, and give it a little more of that charcoal kind of
No.
that most people think taste a lot better as well.
No, just take your time doing it because they're gonna do it with you. So just take your time. You want this?
So right now I've got my chicken sitting in a pan out of the refrigerator. We've got it laid out and it's resting right now, trying to come to room temperature. You don't really need it to come to room temperature, but you don't want to bring it right out of the refrigerator. Definitely you don't want to try to cook it frozen. You're going to have some weird cooks if you try to cook it frozen. Bringing the temperature down from the refrigerator, or bringing it up from the refrigerator temperature, is more ideal. You don't want to let it sit out hours, but just 15, 20, 30 minutes to bring it up to temperature will help your grill time, and your flavor and your juiciness will stay in the chicken without undercooking or overcooking it. So back. We're going to look over here for just a second, and these are my ingredients that I'm going to be using from Fairy Rose. I've got a garlic powder and I've got a red pepper powder. And this is just a sweet red pepper, adds a lot of flavor, doesn't add any heat. And garlic powder, which we've got last year, that is very flavorful. Like I said before, they are set up at the farmer's market at Pendleton County, and their ingredients are spectacular. We love using the Fairy Rose rubs and dried ingredients. So we're going to start with the bay leaves, and these have been dried out quite a bit. They're kind of crunchy. So I'm going to give them a little added squeeze just to get them kind of broken up. They're very pungent right now. The base flavor is coming through greatly. And I love the flavor of dried bay leaves. So we're going to put that in our rub. And this is not going to be broken down tremendously, but it is going to dry out into a powder form. We're not going to get a whole lot, but the flavor is going to be very intense. Just takes a few seconds.
So if you didn't have a handy dandy little thing or something similar to that to do your own in, you can use a wood spoon in a bowl something you can just really do it fine with your hands, as fine as you can. Anything you can get, because I know everybody doesn't have that nice little contraption, but it's worth the money if you start making a lot of different rubs and doing a lot with spices and herbs.
You can also use the blender if you have one of those. That grinds it up really nicely. It's really nice to get the flavors blended up in there. I do a lot of chili powders in the summertime. I'll dry out some jalapenos or habaneros or just whatever peppers I've got, and poblanos for sure. I'll dry those out, and sometimes I'll smoke them on the grill. And we have a dehydrator, and I'll dehydrate them and then just put them in the blender and just blend them up. And I use that for flavorings for a lot of things. So just, practice, have fun. So we're going to start with our salt. We've got the bay leaves, the ground bay leaves in there. So we're going to have 1 tablespoon of salt. And when you're measuring for your ingredients, the measuring spoon, you want to make sure that your measurements are correct. If you don't like the ingredients, then don't use it. But when you want to make it again and you want it to taste the same, your level teaspoons.
You need 2 more of those.
2 more?
So 3 teaspoons of table.
Oh, sorry. 3 teaspoons is a tablespoon. I was misreading that. So what I'm doing now is I'm filling the bowl of the measuring spoon, and I'm leveling it off so that they're all the same.
Hey, Tom, before we get too far, there was a question, and somebody asked if you dry the red or the green, however you said those peppers, poblano pepper.
Both.
Both.
When you let your poblanos or jalapenos or anything come to full ripeness, when they go from green to red or to dark green, it could be the sweetness in the peppers will be more abundant. The greener they are, the more heat they will have. Even poblanos, they'll have a mild heat, but they'll still have some heat. The more you leave them on the vine, the redder they get, the darker they get, the more flavorful, the more smokiness of the pepper will come out. Does that answer your question?
I think it does. If she has another one, I'll let you know, but that was the question.
Well, let me know. So right now we've got our bay leaves and our salt in here, and we're going to find onion powder, which I don't find. There it is. This is our onion powder, and we do buy a lot of spices from Pinsy's. They're a spice company that we order them online, or I don't know if the stores are still open.
They are.
But they have a really nice store. This is calling for 1.5 teaspoons. So this is my 1 teaspoon. I will get a 1/2 teaspoon. When I'm making rubs, and I make a lot of different rubs. For instance, I have a rib rub that I made, and I don't have any of the ingredients wrote down. I just kind of threw everything together, and it turned out really nice. So playing with your different ingredients is a lot of fun. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't, but it's all about having fun. So that's my onion powder. And my dried thyme is some that we've collected over the years and from our thyme bushes. So this could be a little bit thicker or grainier than you would be buying in the grocery store. I'm only looking for 1.25 teaspoons. There's my 1 teaspoon. That was a pretty good pinch too. We're going to go with that being 1 1/4 teaspoons. The dry thyme is really flavorful. I like the flavor of thyme. Some people may or some people may not, but that's fine. Whatever you like, feel free to use it or not use it.
That's a good thing about rubs, right, Tom?
Yep, you can just, whatever your flavor is or isn't, then you can just do, you can make the rubs to your satisfaction. So this is my garlic powder, and I'm going to do 1 1/2 teaspoons. This is my Fairy Rose garlic powder, and it just smells fantastic.
I tried to get some Fairy Rose spices for everybody's bags, but she didn't have enough.
Yeah, it's a little early in the season right now, and I think I bought a lot of it from the place.
You took them all, so I couldn't get any for everybody.
I did.
Blame Tom, guys.
Yeah, when you have good ingredients, it's hard to say no. So I've got my garlic powder in. Coming up to the paprika. This is a smoked paprika that we particularly like. And I'm going to put 1 1/2 teaspoons in there.
I always say, once you go to smoked paprika, you never go back.
That's right. I love it.
Me,
Gives that little extra flavor that you just don't know whether it's the paprika or whether it's a smoke you're using, but hey, I like it. So we're going with it. Then we're going to use red pepper powder, sweet pepper powder. And this is also some Fairy Rose. And when I found this, I was super excited because this is not easy to find.
I was gonna say, what do you think would be a good substitute for that if you didn't have it?
Well, I do believe that the red pepper in the ingredients is the flaked red pepper. It's yeah, that adds a lot of spice, and I don't want to add a lot of spice. So the red pepper is, you know, the chili flakes that you would shake on your pizza or put in your chilies, or I don't really know what else you would use them for, but the red pepper that we're using.
So maybe 1/4 teaspoon of the red pepper flakes.
Yeah, probably a little. If you're using red pepper flakes, then you're probably going to want to use a lot less and bring it up to your flavor profile when you're using it. If you like it real spicy, then let her rip. I don't know that I would care for it, or my wife or mother-in-law for sure. But you do what you like, what makes you feel good. So after the red pepper, we're going to do some dried oregano, and we have 3/4 of a teaspoon of, I don't have a 3/4 of a teaspoon. We're just going to use a guesstimate. So 3/4 of a teaspoon. And when I use the oregano, I like to crush them before I put them in there. So it just breaks it down. It opens up the flavor a lot more. And I really like oregano a lot, but I don't like big chunks of it. So it's pretty dry and it crushes up really nice if you're pushing it through your fingers. And this is the point where I'm going off the menu a little bit, and the chili powder that I'm going to use is from one of my new favorites, the Spanglish Asadero. This is a chili de arboro, however you want to pronounce that. And I'm going to put 1/4 teaspoon in there. And I'm actually going to use a little bit more because I like the flavor of that a lot. It adds a little bit of heat and a whole lot of flavor. And you can see there's actually some red pepper flakes in there in the mix itself. May be hard to see. but it's in there a little bit. And what I'm doing now is I'm just mixing everything up with my fingers. You can use a spoon or fork. Forks probably work a little bit better to cut everything up, but I like to feel things. I like to know that everything's mixed up. And if I'm mixing it up with my hands, I can tell when enough is enough. So that's our rub. We're going to have a quick look at the fire and see how we're doing out there. Some of the other rubs that we have around, there's all kinds of different ones. My mother-in-law brought me that from one of her trips. It's a Southern pecan rub. And Lori and I, we were out in Texas, we found a guy that was making mesquite bean rubs. And he actually pulls mesquite beans and dries them into a flour, or grinds them into a flour and uses them in his rubs. And one of my all-time favorites is the River Smokehouse, or Four River Smokehouse brisket rub. And as you can see, it's pretty empty. I use that a lot. It's really flavorful. It actually has some peppercorns in it and coffee, and the flavor is just fantastic. So expand your horizons, go out and find something new, and or make it yourself. We're going to go look at the fire, see how we're doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's been about, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, and our fire is looking really good. Everything except the big logs on top are cooking really nice. So I'm actually going to take that charcoal chimney and I'm going to put the charcoal in the grill. And if you're using chimney and you have a wooden torch, make sure you have something to put your hot, super hot chimney on. So this is my handy dandy fire poker. I'm just leveling everything out inside there. My air intake, I'm going to close that down to about a quarter of the way open, because I don't want that to get really hot. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my grill. My grill is missing a tooth, but it still grills really well. I'm going to close the lid and open the top damper just a little bit so that I have a nice place for the exhaust to come out. I've got the air intake going down to about a quarter and the exhaust going probably about a quarter of the way open. So this is going to regulate my temperature, and probably 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to let that grill grate heat up nice and hot. So when we put our meat on there, you're going to get a nice sear. So we're going to go back inside and we're going to get some rub on some chicken. We're going to give that maybe 5 minutes so that the rub can get well incorporated into the chicken. And our grill's going to get really hot. We're going to go outside when we get done with the chicken and start grilling some meat. So this chicken's been sitting out for about 15 minutes. What I'm doing now is I'm just taking a paper towel and taking the moisture off the chicken. You don't want these really wet, and the drier it is, the easier the rub will stick to it. It kind of doesn't make sense. It seems like it would be stick wetter, but the wetter it is, the more it'll want to run off. So I'm going to dry it tops and bottoms. These are really large chicken breasts, so we're going to be using a little extra rub on these.
Most of them, Tom, were getting chicken thighs or chicken breasts one, so I don't know what everybody got, but one or the other, one of the two.
Yeah, the chicken thighs are really nice to cook. They cook really fast. They have a lot of flavor. chicken breasts are, there's a lot of people that won't eat chicken breasts because they think they get too dried out. Drying out chicken breasts is really easy if you're not paying attention. This is where we talk about our instant read thermometer. When you're cooking chicken, you want to bring the chicken temperature up to about 155 to 165. The standard is probably a little bit higher, but the higher you go, the drier the chicken gets. I like pulling my chicken when my breasts are about 155. I'll pull them off the grill, let them rest for about 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes, and then it gives a chance for the juices to start coming out, and internal temperature will actually rise about 10 to 15 degrees. So chicken temperature, breasts are about 155 to 165. The chicken thighs need to be cooked to about 165 to about 175. Chicken wings and chicken legs are about the same, 160, 170 degrees. They'll give you a nice crisp skin, and the juices will really want to come out at that temperature. The further you go with it, the drier it's going to be. So this is where it all comes down to paying attention to what's on the grill. So I'm going to start with my dry rub. And I'm just going to give it a nice healthy sprinkle. This dry rub is really good for chicken, beef, pork. It's excellent on vegetables. And we're going to see that in just a little while. So I've got a dry hand. This is going to be my not dry hand. So I'm going to be able to flip the chicken over and keep my hand from getting inside of the dry rub that we just made. All those nice ingredients going in there.
Few things I'm going to repeat that Tom said. Rest and rest. So the chicken came out and it rested, 30 minutes isn't too long for it to sit and try to get up to room temperature, because that's going to help you in the grilling. And taking,
Yes.
when you take it off, let it rest again.
Rest and rest and rest.
The two
Let
most
it rest on.
parts of grilling.
Get my hand washed. So anytime you're touching raw meat, you want to make sure you're cleaning your hands, because you don't want to contaminate the next thing you're going to touch. So we're going to leave this sit for just a minute. Actually, we can take it on outside when we go. We're going to go out and take a look at the grill. I've got a grill brush that I'm going to be rubbing the grill down with.
This would be a good time also, if you have a gas grill, to make sure you turn your gas grill on to let it heat up for about 5 minutes before we're ready to go. And some of the things that Tom's going to do with his gas grill or his charcoal grill, you can also do with your gas grill at preparing the grates as well.
Right. So I got this is like, we use this as a non-stick spray. Thank you. And this is something we just found, and it works really good on the grill. It helps the meat from sticking to the grill, because we're hoping that grill is turning pretty hot. We want to get some nice grill marks on the chicken breasts. And we're going to go out, we're going to get it a good clean, and then we're going to put some non-stick spray on, and then we're going to add a little wood chips to get the smoke rolling, and then we're going to add some chicken. So let's go. Down.
He wants the chicken.
Oh, yes, he does. We're looking pretty hot in here. I like having a nice clean grill when we get started.
What temperature did you say the gas grill should be, Tom?
Probably around 350 to 450. When you put your meat on, it's going to bring the temperature down. I'm going to need to get some wood chips. I thought I brought them over, but I forgot them. So I'm going to go grab my wood chips. We're going to be using some, go through. We're going to be using some apple wood. And just going to use a couple pieces. I'll be right there.
He'll be back. I will, okay, going to the gas grill when you turn it on. If you turn it on higher to start with and sear it good on both sides and turn it down, or turn it on high to end with, but somewhere between that 350 and 400 will probably be a good temperature, Margaret. And you have to know your gas grill.
Definitely. So I'm going to be using some apple wood. This is just some chunks that I sawed up off of the apple tree that we have down in our orchard. My mother-in-law has several apple trees, and this is just some of them that have died. And I'm pretty happy when a limb dies and I get to use it for my grill. So I'm just going to take a few of these apple chips, put them straight down in the coals. And you can do this with your gas grill. I heard Kenna talking about wrapping them in like a little foil pack and put them down so that they can get a lot of heat. And you can see immediately we start getting some smoke. So the more that sits in there, the more smoke we're going to generate.
Okay, and the one thing I will say different on your gas grill than spraying it directly on the grate, you can put it on a cloth or something, or even just oil, and then rub it on. I wouldn't directly spray it on.
That's right. You've got the flame in the gas grill.
You got the flame, right?
Okay, let's remember
I was trying
that.
to watch because I figured that's how you're doing it. But if you spray it on like a cloth, paper towel, you can use.
Very good point, Miss
to do
Kenna.
it.
Yeah, good catch.
Very good point.
But it does help keep them from sticking.
So I'm just going to lay the skin side down. This is where we're going to get the majority of our cooking, with the skin side down. I'm going to cook the chicken breast for maybe 10 minutes with the skin side down. We've got that on. You can hear the sizzle. We're going to close the lid. Closing the lid is very important because that's going to keep the heat in. It's going to act like a convection oven. So we got the air coming in and it's going to be rolling around. The smoke's going to start rolling out of here in just a little bit. When that convection is going, you're getting cooking on the top and the bottom. You get the intense heat on the bottom and the convection heat from the top. Smoke's going to start coming out. I can see it coming out a little bit right now. That's going to infuse into your meats, whatever you're cooking. I'll cook hot dogs on the grill and I still want to taste a little smoke. So when you're cooking, if you're cooking hot dogs, I like an indirect heat. If you put your hot dogs right over top of a hot charcoal, then it's going to split the skins and all of your good juices are going to roll out. If you indirect heat, you're using the convection to heat. The convection is going to come down. It's going to cook your dogs or your brats or your mets or whatever you've got, and it's not going to split the skin. Splitting the skin, in my opinion, when you split the skin on a hot dog or any brats or mets or anything, you're losing all your flavor. I like when my hot dogs swell up real big and juice is left inside, and you get a little messy when you bite it. So we're going to go inside and we're going to turn this over to Lori. She's going to teach us how to make a barbecue sauce.
Why, Tom's going inside. I will tell you,
Here we are with Chef Lori.
You can do indirect heat on a gas grill as well. So if say you have a 3-burner gas grill or a 4-burner, you can put 2 on one side and leave them off on the other side. A lot of times that's how Kenna mostly grills, because I don't like to worry about what's happening to my meat. I like to shut the lid and forget about it. So I will cook it really good on both sides. I get a little sear to it, then turn off one side of my grill and do indirect heat a lot. Then I can shut the lid and let the grill do its work. What we tend to do with grills is open and shut them too much. So,
And it sounds like you should have been here at the cabin with us.
yeah.
Well, welcome back, guys. I am actually going to walk you through the barbecue sauce. So, excuse me, I have to use my reading glasses here. So our ingredients are a cup of ketchup, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and we're going to use dark brown sugar just because I like the more like dark molassesy kind of flavor. But if you didn't have dark brown sugar, you could definitely use a light brown sugar. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of honey, and we are actually using our local Faith Acres honey. So this is another vendor at the Pendleton County Farmers Market. They actually live like a half a mile from here. So we go over there and we pick up a case of eggs to use at the cafe because we love using their farm fresh eggs.
That's
So
where
we're
your
gonna
guys'
use their-
zucchini came from as well.
Yeah, the zucchini came from Faith Acres as well. So, and then we have Worcestershire sauce, onion powder, bourbon. So it uses a half a cup of bourbon, but today we are actually going to use an Earl Grey tea. I think Tom drank the bourbon, so we're going to use the tea. And the reason you can substitute is because if you don't want that really flavor forward alcohol flavor, which bourbon gives you, definitely use the Earl Grey tea. You could substitute apple cider. You could substitute orange juice. So again, just like Tom suggested before, let your palate be the guide. Decide what you like. We are actually using some sorghum. I believe this is a local, Kentucky local sorghum as well. I used it just because in the recipe, sorghum is really a Kentucky thing. And so I added it just, as that Kentucky flavor. So again, if you don't have sorghum, you could substitute honey, you could substitute maple syrup. Again, you could use a local maple syrup. We definitely try to use local as much as possible. And then we have some apple cider vinegar. I use the Bragg brand. In here, if you look, there's all this funk on the bottom. We love the funk. It's called your mother. So you can actually take this mother and add it to some wine, and eventually it would turn into vinegar. And so we know that this is like a real living product, super healthy for you. So we love the Bragg vinegar. And then we're going to use a seeded mustard. Again, if you didn't have a seeded mustard, you could use like a regular mustard. You could use a Dijon mustard. Changing all of those things is actually going to allow you to change the flavor profile of the final sauce. And then the last ingredient is garlic powder. So the technique in doing this is actually you're just adding everything to the pot. You're going to bring it to a simmer, let it simmer about 10 minutes until it gets kind of thick and saucy, and then you are ready to go. So we'll go ahead and measure all this out. All right, so we've got 1 cup of ketchup, and some of you guys are doing this with me. And I like the Heinz brand. So I know a lot of people have their preferences, but I like it. And those of you that have had class with me before know that I love my gram scale. I love weighing things out. The reason that I did not on this particular one is because this recipe, actually, I had not converted it to grams. And so one of the things you can do if you want to continue to use the recipe is you can actually measure out like what this would weigh and convert it as you go. So the first time you make the recipe, you would put it on your scale and then weigh it out as you go. And so then the next time you would already have it converted. So this recipe has not been converted yet. And that's the reason why we're using the old fashioned cups and tablespoons and things. All right, so we've got our 1 cup of ketchup. And then we've got 3 tablespoons brown sugar. And again, I'm using a dark brown sugar just because I like that kind of molassesy taste that that it gives you. And so when I do a brown sugar, I want to pack that into the tablespoon, and it should come out kind of in a clump. So that's how you should weigh, or how you should measure brown sugar, even if you're like doing baking. So we've got 3 tablespoons in there. And then we've got our 2 tablespoons of honey. And another reason I like that scale is because, you know, my measuring spoons and everything are going to get dirty, and like I'm going to have to like wash them. And if I had it converted to grams and everything, you just dump it right into the bowl. I'm actually going to wait on the honey, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through and see if there's anything else dry before I get that measuring spoon all honeyish. That's a word.
Honeyish is a
Right.
word.
Yeah, honeyish. So let's see. Our other dry ingredient is going to be our garlic powder. So we've got our Fairy Rose garlic powder here, and we've got a teaspoon of that. And we're just going to sprinkle it on top of that ketchup, because we don't want it to clump. So we just want to sprinkle it on top of there. Because if you just dumped it in one big spot, it might clump a little bit later when we add those other ingredients. So now we're going to start adding those other kind of liquidy ingredients that's going to make our measuring spoon kind of dirty. So we've got 2 tablespoons of honey. And usually when I'm measuring honey, I'll actually take my finger and kind of wipe it out, because otherwise there's so much residue in there that you can't really tell. And then, you know, then you also have the byproduct of, if you're at home, you can actually like lick your finger. But I'm not going to do that today. All right, so we've got our 2 tablespoons of honey. And then we have our sorghum, and it's kind of sticky too. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that sorghum out as well. So we have a tablespoon of sorghum. And if you haven't tried sorghum, it's just a really dark kind of molassesy flavor as well. And so all of these flavors are going to blend really well with that bourbon or the Earl Grey tea. It just kind of gives you that smoky, deep like flavor. So then I always like trying to set my measuring spoons in my cup or somewhere else, so I'm not getting like honey and all that all over my table. So I like to keep everything tidy. Those of you that worked with me in my last class, I did go to chef school, and I tell people that the 2 things I learned in chef school, one is mise en place. And so mise en place is French for everything in its place. And what that means is you've got everything set out. Like you can see, we're not running back and forth to the pantry. It's all here ready, so that we make sure that we don't miss an ingredient. And then the other thing I learned in chef school is that if you make something and it doesn't turn out quite like it was supposed to, then you just change the name. So, you know, we've been talking a lot about changing the recipe. There are a lot of you that'll think that you have to stick strictly to the recipe, but that's actually kind of the cool part of cooking, is that if things don't turn out like you thought they would, first of all, your family's going to be super excited that you like took the trouble to cook for them anyway. So they'll be they'll be happy anyway. But, you know, if you change the name and you make it into something, you know, that is inspired by you, it just makes it all the better. But really, cooking is about playing and finding what you like, what your family likes. So you don't have to actually follow the recipe exactly like it says. Like when we do the baking, you do have to follow a lot of those measurements. But like with making the barbecue sauce and the rub, those are a little more fluid, and you can make the changes like, you know, that are for your palate. All right, so we've got our honey in there. We're going to do our Worcestershire sauce. And I like to shake it because this has got a lot of ingredients in it. It's got a lot of ingredients in it. And I think half of them are on the bottom. So we give it a good shake, and we're going to put 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire. And this, I believe, kind of gives you that umami flavor. So this is kind of that flavor that's kind of fleeting, and you're like, not sure what it is, but I like it. Okay, so we've got 2 tablespoons in there. And then we've got 3 tablespoons of our apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, you don't want to shake this one because all that good mother stuff's on the bottom. You can actually drink this too. It's super healthy for you. So you can drink this, you know, every day, and it has numerous health benefits. I'm sure if you go to their website too, it'll tell you all about all their health
Your daily
benefits
dose of
of
wellness.
Bragg's. And then we've got a tablespoon of the seeded mustard. We love this. I buy it in bulk. That's why it's in this special little mustard colored container here. All right, and then we're gonna put in our half a cup of Earl Grey tea. So again, you could use bourbon, you could use apple cider, you could get really creative with it. And so it's a half a cup. So I'm only gonna use half of this because I made a whole cup of tea. So I'll enjoy this later on after class. All right, so we've got a half a cup in there. So we have everything in our pot. This is like one of the super easy recipes. And then we're just gonna give it a good stir. And then I'm gonna put it on the stove over here. And while we get it ready to start simmering, Tom's gonna take you a look and go check out what's going on out on the grill.
Hey, Lori, when you come back in, then let's give a second and make sure everybody's caught up.
Oh, definitely. Well, and that'll
Yes.
give them some time to catch up too when Tom walks out to the
Yeah.
grill and checks everything out there too.
'Cause some of them that might have been using the gas grill might have been
Yeah.
fine getting their chicken on or something, so.
So this is just gonna sit here and simmer for like 10 to 15 minutes. It can simmer a little bit longer if you want to. So that gives a chance for those of you that are still measuring or still lighting your grill or still getting your chicken out, time to time to catch up with us. All right.
Okay, so let's go check out this chicken. You can see the smoke rolling now. Come close. That chicken's looking really good. Sound really good. We're gonna give it a turn. Oh, nice. See the juice is just wanting to come out of there. So most importantly, we got the chicken flipped. Now we're gonna let it rest. So we're gonna go inside and we're gonna prepare some grillers that we've got from Faith Acres Farm.
Okay,
And we'll take a little look at that barbecue sauce while we were heading over to do the zucchini. So we've got it, just the heat turned up on it. Give it a good little stir. And you don't have to continually stir it, but just give it a good little stir before you start on that zucchini. I did take a little taste of it just to see where we were flavor wise. And I definitely like the Earl Grey in there. The bourbon is very flavor forward. So, and I'm a huge bourbon fan, but I think too, you could try it both ways and see what you prefer. So I'm handing you back over to Tom.
all right, so
Alright.
before Tom starts, let's give everybody kind of give me a thumbs up. Let me know where we're at. Are you halfway caught up? You can unmute if you have questions. Let's just see where everybody's at to make sure we're doing pretty good. I saw some thumbs up. I think we're doing pretty good. I can't see everybody, so I'm taking
Any questions out there?
that you'd be stopping us if you wanted to, if you had any issues. I think we're good. I didn't see any,
Awesome.
give me a thumbs down, so.
Awesome. So let's talk about zucchini.
All right. We have some grilling zucchini. Jeff calls these his griller zucchini.
And some of you, I think some of them joining Tom might not have the grillers. They might have just regular zucchini.
Okay, that's great.
Especially the ones from
even-
Gallatin County, will just have regular zucchini as well.
It doesn't matter what zucchini you're using. You can have anything, any kind of zucchini. I actually had some white and green striped zucchini from Jeff last week or the week before and grilled them up just like I'm getting ready to grill these, and they were fantastic. And I did use the same rub that I used on the chicken on the zucchini. So we are going to slice these up, and we're going to slice them about a 1/2 inch thick. We have a perforated slicer that Lori picked up a long time ago at a Pampered Chef show, and it makes really nice crinkle cuts. So I'm going to cut the stem off
Compost it.
Good.
and the tail end. And then I'm going to cut them about a 1/2 inch thick. and you don't have to be perfect, but the thinner you cut these, the quicker they'll cook and the quicker they will burn. So I'm just going to go with 2 of the grillers. And I'm going to lay them out on the pan. I'm actually going to brush them with a little bit of olive oil. We use an olive oil that we use down at the restaurant. And it's just it's a cold pressed olive oil. It has really good flavor, and it is it's really nice to grill with.
Extra virgin.
And that is an extra version. I'm not going to use very much oil, but I'm just going to brush them just a little bit. And this is a pastry brush or a grill brush. I use this same brush for putting on the barbecue sauce. This just helps the dry rub stick to the zucchini and holds it on there while it's grilling. Otherwise, it tends to stick to or fall through the grates. Might need just a little bit more of that.
If you didn't have olive oil, you could probably use any other kind of oil on it. You could use a.
Absolutely.
You could use.
You can still use that cooking spray too. If you've got that cooking spray that works just the same. And you can, if you're cooking fried eggs and bacon on the grill, you can use that cooking spray to do your eggs. Whatever you like to do. So on my dry rub, I'm not going to put a lot on the grillers. I just want a subtle flavor because I want that grilled zucchini flavor to come through. But this just adds a nice little addition. And if you don't want to use it, you can use salt and pepper. The salt and pepper is what we were using before we started to use the dry rub. And that turns out really nice too. Salt and pepper is a great spices that you can use some grilling. You can't go wrong with salt and pepper. So just a little bit of dry rub. Both sides, because you're going to be eating both sides. I hope you're going to be eating both sides.
And these grilling mixes too would make a really nice gift at Christmas time if you grow some of your own spices and things like that. So you notice Tom used almost all of that spice that he mixed up for both the chicken and the vegetables. So you can actually double, triple, make a larger amount. So to narrow down the amount of time that you spend making it, if you're a working parent and you're just like, I need to get home and grill, go ahead and make a lot of that in advance. And then, as we get closer to the holidays, it's hard to believe it's already that time. But, think forward, and if you're growing your own thyme and some of those own spices and things like that, you could make this as a Christmas gift as well, or a gift to give someone.
Yeah. You can also, if you're thinking of the barbecue sauce, Lori.
No, either one. So I was more talking about like the rub.
Yeah,
but that dry rub will keep for about 6 months. So you can mix up a really big batch of it, and it'll keep for you.
If that dry rub lasts 6 months, you're not grilling enough.
That's true.
But if you did the barbecue sauce and found a flavor that you really liked or ingredients you really liked, you could do it in a mass quantity, and you could.
You could. The issue with the then you would want to maybe like do a pressure canning and things like that on it. So I really, with the barbecue sauce, I'm trying to make it a little more recent than like the rubs I would. Also, that gives you more of an opportunity to maybe try different things in the sauce to figure out what you really like. So I typically tend to go with the smaller quantities on that barbecue sauce.
Until you
Right.
find what
I
you
was
like.
thinking they would have to preserve it in some way. if
Yeah.
large Quantity.
And so you can take a little look at here at the sauce as you head out the door. It's just simmering here, and it's getting a little bit thicker, and got a nice heat going on to it. So, you can just leave it while you head out to the grill.
I'm gonna use this time to check my chicken. I've got my thermometer. That chicken is really good. So you don't want to push the thermometer in really far, but you do want to check all of them. Make sure you're not on a hot spot on the grill or a cold spot. So I'm looking at about 120 degrees, 130 degrees right now, 115. That's not bad. They've been on about 15, 18 minutes. I'm going to slide these in. I'm going to put those zucchini around everything right now, just to get those cooking so we can have some dinner.
Mhm.
So you saw the flame in there? If you're cooking on wood, you can shut the top exhaust off and that flame will die immediately. So if you're worried about flame up, shut the lid, close the vent, and no more flame. We've got everything out here cooking, almost ready. The grillers are going to take probably about 8 to 10 minutes. I want to flip them in about 5 minutes just to make sure it's not getting overcooked. And we're going to come out in about another 5 minutes. Grillers are on.
Lori, I want to show
Yes.
something really quick. So if you have a gas grill, and I don't know if you guys can see this, what's in my hand, just pulled this off my grill. They make things that can go on your gas grill that sits on top, which helps with that flame too. So if you have a grill that tends to flame a lot, if you buy, it has little holes in it, if you can see it.
That kind of diffuses the flame, I
flame.
guess.
It does. So it would do the same, because sometimes the only way to control that flame on a gas grill is to really turn it down low or have a little spray bottle of water to help control it. But those work really well, and I like them a lot on my grill. I keep them on half of my grill so I can move it over to there if it starts flaming.
Thanks for sharing, Kenneth. Yeah, Tom doesn't do much with the gas grill just because when he first started grilling, he primarily just used wood. And then it got a little bit, like he found the lump charcoal and he fell in love with that. And so part of the reason why he really first started grilling was because when we built our log cabin, it has no air conditioning. And so in the summertime, it would get really, really hot in here. And so I would be like, I'm not cooking because it's going to heat the cabin up. And so Tom would start cooking everything. So he would cook the soup, he would cook the meatloaf.
French fries.
Yeah, we would just see exactly what he could cook. And so really it kind of got him cooking a whole lot more. And so now at the cafe, for those of you that come to visit us, I'm typically back in the kitchen bakery part. So we do a lot of baked goods. A lot of those are with freshly milled grains. So everything's kind of made from scratch, but Tom also has his own kitchen because we decided it's kind of better for us to have our own kitchens. So he has his own kitchen and he does all the soups and things like that. So a lot of you will find that once you start cooking and really get a passion for it, you can just keep going, because now he spends a lot of time looking at recipes and figuring out what kind of great soups to make and things like that as well.
Yeah, I
Something
will
to
say,
grill.
Tom has inspired me to grill many different things. I would have never done meatloaf. And I'm telling you, you do green beans and meatloaf in the same pan together and you've got
Oh, yeah.
a whole meal, and it's just things you don't even think of.
Yeah, and so we were actually tomorrow, we actually have 2 farmers markets that the Kentucky Millstone attends. So tomorrow we are headed to the Fort Thomas market. It's tomorrow on Wednesdays from 3 to 7 at the mess hall in Fort Thomas. And so Tom actually has made some smoked stuffed peppers. Yeah, so
On the grill.
so we use a Diamond B beef. We use their sausage at the the cafe as well. So then he smokes them as well, and so like super flavorful. But it really kind of gives you an idea of the creativity is just limited by your imagination, and like you just kind of got to get out there and try a lot of different things to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
We have
And
a lot of fun.
I do think that a lot of times people think of smoking being long process, but you're even showing us tonight that you're going to get that smoke flavor in a very short amount of time.
Yes.
You
Well, you don't want an overabundance of a smoke flavor. The more, if you have too much smoke, it can turn the meal bitter. A short smoke on a hot fire, like we're cooking on right now, is going to add just a hint of smoke. If you're doing a long smoke, like on a brisket or a pork butt or something along those lines, you can do a low heat and a long smoke, which will add the same smokiness, but not over an overabundance of smoke. And you can definitely have too much smoke when you're cooking with fire. So kind of, and also what you're cooking with, what you're smoking with will depend on how smoky it is. A mesquite is a very intense smoke, and you have to be very careful with cooking with mesquite because you can get a really bitter smoke out of it. If you're cooking too low, it'll not burn clean and it'll give you a real bitter taste.
So sometimes more is less. Less is more.
Less is more.
Yeah. Exactly. Do you want to flip them or
Yep,
you?
it's been about time. We're gonna go out and check the grillers.
And we still have our sauce on here cooking. It's just got a little bit of simmer, nice and thick. If you're making it home, take the time to like just get that smell up there and enjoy the flavor smell.
On a side note, that has nothing to do with grilling, but that chimney thing that Tom used to start his fire, if you have a stump you're trying to get rid of, it's perfect. Go on top of the stump and let it slow burn. Just a side note, if you got a stump in your yard.
Those grillers are looking fantastic.
Well, they do look good.
Nice grill marks on there. They're going to get a hint of that smoke that we're smoking the chicken with. The dry rub is going to give an added flavor. And oh, that's for the
Daisy
dog.
got a treat.
We're going to check the temperature on the chicken. We're getting really close, guys. We're looking really good. We've got maybe 10 to 15 degrees. And sometimes you lose one and you got a little buddy.
Mhm. And they're happy.
And they're really, really hot. She's
Yeah.
not happy right now.
Probably burn her tongue.
Yep, a little too hot.
Oh.
So we're gonna go back inside while Daisy enjoys her treat.
All right, so while you're there walking back in, I need like, how are you guys doing? How's your sauces doing? How's your chicken doing? I don't know if you're outside grilling. I can't see a lot of you. I see a lot of people in the kitchen.
It is really hot.
Maybe you're gonna list. I see some thumbs up, so that's good. All right, I'm just.
So Tom, at what point do we
You
use
said
this
it.
great barbecue sauce on your
So-
chicken?
We're looking, when you're using barbecue sauce on the grill, you don't want to put barbecue sauce on in the very beginning. You want the meat to be practically finished cooking on the grill because the barbecue sauce is really sugary, really thin. When you put it on your meat and you've got the intense heat of the fire, it's going to char a lot. So the less char on your barbecue sauce will bring out more flavor. So you're going to want a really short time on the barbecue sauce on the grill. What I'll do when we go out in a couple of minutes is I'll put some barbecue sauce on. We're at about 140 degrees right now on the chickens. A couple of them were a little bit higher, but that's okay. They're really thick. We'll put some barbecue sauce on, and then we'll flip the chicken over and let that start caramelizing a little bit. And then in about 2 or 3 minutes, we'll go out and we'll flip the chicken again. And this is the point where the chicken is almost ready to come off, and you want to get everything prepared for your supper. So you're going to put barbecue sauce on, flip the chicken. We're probably going to pull the grillers after we flip the chicken, and then we're going to put the barbecue sauce on the second side, get that caramelized a little bit, and then we'll be ready to eat.
And so in this time right now, you could be shucking some corn and getting some corn to serve with it, or any other side that you wanted to have. So to round out your meal, we've got our protein, which is our chicken with the barbecue sauce. We've got our green vegetable, which is our zucchini. So if you wanted to round it out, think in advance of what you want that meal to be. So we talked about maybe doing a potato salad or maybe some air fried French fries. So, at this point in time too, it gives you the chance while that's finishing up its grilling to go ahead and round out that meal and get everything together with it.
Sounds good to me.
So do you want me to put some of this in a?
I can take it out in that,
Oh, okay.
unless you want to. I don't care.
No, you're good either way. So there's the spatula, tasty brush. So you can taste the barbecue sauce too and see, do you like the flavor profile? Does it need a little more vinegar? Does it need a little more sugar? Does it need some maple syrup in it? Just make sure you're happy with that barbecue sauce before you start putting it on that meat that it's taken you, some time to grill, because you're taking your time to cook your dinner. And so you want to make sure that those flavors are really going to shine after you barbecue them a little bit more.
So let's go check.
I'm going to tell a story on Tom and Lori. Tom and Lori did my oldest daughter's wedding, and he smoked the meat for that, and they made the best barbecue sauce. And I'm hoping this tastes similar to that, because when I make it, I just want that barbecue sauce again. I wouldn't let anybody else eat it. Like, no, this is for me when I want barbecue sauce. The leftovers from it, but it was delicious.
Hey, Tom. We're going to go ahead and put some of that barbecue sauce in this container here. So that way we're not going to contaminate it by basting the chicken and then basting the barbecue sauce. And we're going to leave a little bit in the pot, because there's some people like me who like to have some barbecue sauce at the table, like to, have extra barbecue sauce. So this will keep you from contaminating this will keep you from contaminating it. So we've got our nice barbecue sauce here. And if you had leftovers, you could use it, another day too.
Yep.
So I'm just spreading the barbecue sauce on. You can see how brown the chicken is. That's the smoke actually affecting the color of the meat. Let's try to get the barbecue sauce all over. Give it a nice caramelization when we flip it over. We're going to go ahead and put some barbecue sauce on the side we just came away from the grill. Get any nooks and crannies on that chicken, make sure you get some barbecue sauce deep down in there. And I think we're going to pull some grillers. In case you didn't notice it, I'm putting this on a platter that says that I'm the best barbecue chef in the whole backyard. That's just my backyard. That's not your backyard. All right. Let's make that flame go away. Just in case you're wondering, flame takes about a couple seconds to go out. Now it's gone. Going anywhere. Going to give that a couple of minutes. Check the temperature and see where we're at. We're at 154. That one's ready to come off the grill. 156. $155. We're gonna pull some chicken. The longer you leave them on there, the drier they're gonna want to get. We've got 2 chicken breasts done. Grillers are done. We got a couple more catching up, and we're almost ready for dinner. Is there any right now?
Did you hear what Tom said? I think he asked if there's any questions. Everybody's quiet tonight, Tom.
Everybody's busy cooking.
I know. So our goal with this at the end is to make all of you charcoal grillers. Get away from that gas grill. Get you a good charcoal griller.
So I'm adding a little barbecue sauce. To this chicken.
Nice.
Somebody didn't get a griller.
I was gonna.
Somebody pulled in my driveway.
Now we're there. When the temperature gets really close, the temperature rises really fast. So you gotta be right on top of what you're doing on the grill. So we're done with this grill. We're closing the vents so we can use that charcoal later. Adding in a little more barbecue sauce, let that stick on there. All right, guys. Let's take this meal inside.
I sent the dogs outside to attack whoever was here. So what temp is the grill? Somebody asked.
Go check.
So an interesting thing about the temperature of chicken is that typically the government says, you know, it should be at 165. And the reason they're telling you that is because that's the safe temperature. If you go to an online search of like, you know, the governmental guidelines for chicken, it actually can be a little bit lower, but you need to hold it at that temperature for a certain amount of time. So it might be like 155, but you have to hold it there for like at least 3 minutes. And so what they're trying to do is kill whatever parasites are in it. So the biggest thing that happens with the cooking of chicken is like if you overcook it, you know, you spent all this time making this great chicken and then it's overcooked and it's just not as palatable. So, you know, 165 using that digital thermometer that you got from Kenna, super important. Just think about any other questions that you have. Tom's checking on the grill temp.
The grill temperature was 375. And one thing to keep in mind, the temperature gauges on the grills are not that accurate. If you want to get an accurate temperature, there are grill temperature devices that you can buy at specialty stores or online somewhere that will tell you the temperature of your grill. They have inserts in the meat that will tell you on your phone or on your iPad what the temperature of the internal temperature of the meat is. Those are nice devices to have. I have one, but I don't use it that often unless I'm cooking a long, low and slow piece of meat. I pulled this chicken the lower one's about 4 or 5 minutes ago, and the upper one's just a couple minutes ago. And the temperature was about 160 degrees. I'm checking the temperature right now, and it's rising about a degree every 2 minutes. Yeah, the temperature is continuing to rise. I'm about 170 degrees right now, and which is not bad. The juices inside are actually releasing so that they're going to come more towards the surface.
Oh, I see it. Look at when you're running out. So you want to be careful not to like poke it too many times, because you see, if you can carefully see, like some of that juice is running out there. So the more you poke it, the more juice is going to come out.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, Lori. Sometimes we tend with chicken and even pork.
Huh?
We want to
Yeah.
cut it open and see if it's pink inside. That's the worst thing you can do.
Right. Because what you're doing is you spend all this time making this great juicy product, and so the more you poke it and cut it and play with it, all that great juice and things gonna run out. So what we're gonna do there is we're gonna make ourselves a nice little plate for dinner here.
Yeah.
While Tom was outside, I was finishing up our corn. So once our local corn is at the farmer's market, we definitely would want to do that. A lot of times Tom's great in like cutting up the chicken. So he'll like cut it up and put it on our plates for us, which is super cool. But this is going to make a really, really attractive plate for your family. If you can't do this during the weekday, this is a great weekend project. So this is, our finished plate. So we have our complete meal here. We've got our corn, our grilled zucchini, and our grilled chicken. And Tom actually, even most of the time, grills the corn for us as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say grilled corn is good.
Yeah, I didn't want to like put him out this time. So
Yeah.
So those of you that have enjoyed our class tonight, we actually teach classes at the Kentucky Millstone. Tom is my co-teacher on the biscuits and gravy class.
Pasta.
And then also, so we also have an introduction to pasta class, which Tom helps teach. And then we have lots of other classes too, more baking inspired and things as well. If you want to come visit us at the cafe, we're open every day but Tuesday and Wednesday when we prep for the farmer's market. So we're open from 7 to 2. We're also at the Pendleton County's farmer's market most times if we can organize the staffing. Again, all of our products are handmade, a lot of freshly milled grain products. Super excited. We did purchase a grain mill from Austria and it should be shipping soon. So we're working with a Pendleton County farmer. So our goal is to actually purchase Pendleton County wheat, mill it at the bakery, bake it at the bakery, and then serve it to you. So like it's really true farm to table food. So really want to thank Kenna for inviting us to teach again. Want to thank my awesome daughter for videoing us tonight.
Absolutely.
And thank Tom for co-hosting with us.
Thank you, Kenna.
Lori,
So any
Lori, we
last
did have
questions that-
One question.
Uh-huh.
Somebody asked how long the barbecue sauce would keep.
Yeah, so in the restaurant, we typically don't keep anything more than 7 days, just because the health department wants to make sure that everybody stays safe. In my home, I would probably keep it, a couple weeks. It's a vinegar-based product with ketchup, so there's really nothing in it that's going to go bad. Definitely refrigerate it, but I would just make sure that you use it up before a couple of weeks. You could also probably freeze it as well, but most of those ingredients are vinegar-based, so the chances of it going bad aren't very high.
Great.
Any other questions from you guys?
I want to see pictures, or we want to see pictures of your
Ooh.
grilled product. Make sure you post them. I will post some.
Oh wow, that looks
Smell.
amazing, Margaret.
wow.
Yours looks
That
amazing.
looks great.
Wow. Awesome.
It tastes amazing.
Uh-huh.
I got to
It
figure out
tastes
how to
amazing.
unpin.
Oh, there's Lisa.
Oh wow, Lisa, that
Nice,
looks great
Lisa.
too. Good job,
Perfect
guys.
grillers. Nice
Oh
job.
yeah, they all look very good.
Yeah, I'm Shrimp too.
Post us some pictures. Hopefully, I want to personally thank Tom and Lori for doing this class. I knew they'd be the perfect ones to do a grilling for us because I have ate a lot of grilled cheese and it's delicious. If you have any questions that come up after the class, don't hesitate to email me. Remember the upcoming classes, Lori and Tom push the farmer's market a lot, so make sure you join our Fitness for Produce because that's going to give you tokens to go purchase stuff at the farmer's market. And you maybe will have some of those tokens in hand to purchase some of that corn when it comes in season. No, so if nobody has any questions, I'm going to hit stop recording.